What exactly is Advent, you may ask? Well, it's the season oh man, can we start over? Greetings, everybody. The last Sunday in November launched us into the season of Advent. What exactly is Advent, you may ask? Well, it is the first season of the Christian calendar year, and it ends with Christmas Day itself. Advent is defined as the arrival of a notable person, thing, or event. For Christians, Jesus' arrival on earth as a newborn is the most notable person, thing, and event combined into one. If your church or home has an Advent wreath, the first candle lit last Sunday represented hope. But why hope, you may ask? Perhaps these words from the prophet Isaiah can give us a clue. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders. And he will be called Wonderful, Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. He will establish a kingdom characterized by justice and righteousness. When God spoke these words through Isaiah about the future birth of the Messiah as the inheritor of King David's throne, he was looking ahead to a time that would be characterized by a loss of hope for the people of Israel. In that time, Israel would become a conquered Roman province, occupied by soldiers and pillaged by tax collectors. It was a heavy-handed Roman government, with many Jews dying as a consequence. And making it even worse was the behavior of many of the Jewish religious leaders who were more concerned with their prestigious positions, fat bank accounts, and judging of their own people rather than helping them in their suffering. The so-called shepherds of Israel cared more for themselves than for the scattered sheep of Israel that had been entrusted to their care. For these Israelites, it seemed hopeless on every front. But their God was a God of hope, not despair. He also spoke to these people through the prophet Ezekiel. In fact, in more detail of this hope to be found in a future time. Indeed, a hope that would be fulfilled in Jesus. God promised that he himself would return to shepherd his people, remove the bad shepherds, and he would rescue, gather, heal, and lead his people with justice. This predicted future time arrived with the entry of Jesus as a baby into the world. Jesus himself made the connection very clear multiple times. For example, in Luke 19, he declared his purpose in coming was to seek and to save what was lost from God. In John 10, he spoke even more clearly as he called himself the Good Shepherd. This was the fulfillment of what God had shared through Ezekiel. And so, what was it exactly that this Good Shepherd was commissioned to do that still brings us such great hope today? I have time enough to identify three things. Number one, Jesus said that he had come to give us life and that this life was full or abundant. The Greek word translated abundant is parison, which means exceedingly, very highly, beyond measure, more than what one would expect. There's therefore a richness in quality of life that Jesus promises to each person who turns to him. What a great relief for us who have often sought this abundant life in many other places only to come up empty, to know that this satisfied life is truly found in walking with Jesus. Number two, Jesus also said that as the Good Shepherd, he lays down his life for the sheep in contrast to many of the bad shepherds of Israel. Jesus added this thought as well, that greater love has no one than this, to lay down his life for his friends. Jesus goes even beyond this, though, because Jesus not only laid down his life for his friends, he actually laid down his life for his enemies. Where else in the world can we find such love that one would lay down their life to rescue an enemy? I would say nowhere. Number 3, Jesus promised to give those who follow him eternal life, a life centered on knowing God while being secure in God's hands forever. Not even a great human parent can offer us this, as they will all perish eventually. But our eternal Father can fulfill this promise, and he enriched it even more by assuring us that no one could snatch us out of his hand. Indeed, nothing in all creation, no power, can ever separate us from the love of God found through Jesus. Nothing can stop God from accomplishing his purposes and fulfilling his promises. And so, as Christmas exams and paper pressures crowd into your lives this December, threatening to choke your joy in life, let me counsel you to stop just for a few moments each day and reflect and bask in the wonder of the hope that Jesus has brought us as the Christ child and continues to bring us as the risen Lord. He has each of us in his hand, and we are secure, and we can rest in that hope always, no matter what our circumstances. What a great gift to us. And so, as we sign off this last episode of the 2020 show for the year, we want to wish you all a blessed and hope-filled Christmas with much love, joy, and peace. And we also want to give a shout out to Maddie G, the show's creative director, cameraman, soundman, producer, and editor. Maddie, we couldn't go on without you. Merry Christmas, everybody.